Well, it would appear we are successfully live streaming here. Invader Bob, how's it going? So unfortunately, I'm limited as to where I can place the camera / phone based on the my Wi-Fi and where it will actually connect to the internet. I've got this nice little background here that I've been working on that I can't really use for the live stream because I'm going to be working right here primarily part of the time, and over here part of the time, and so that's what we have to work with. But today, what I'm working on is I've got this batch of carving hatchets here that all need hung. Well, hold on. Oh, now we have audio. Hey, Ridge Runner, Larry. We didn't have audio there, but we should now. I didn't turn on my little microphone. So what I was saying, I don't think you guys caught any of that, is that I'm limited as to where I can put this phone / camera due to the location of my internet. And so I've got this kind of nifty background that I've been working on here, but I can't really use that for the live stream because I'm going to be working off of this leg vise and then this anvil and post other leg vise here. So, hey Mark, how's it going? Larry? All right. Sounds like the audio's on. That's good. And like I said a minute ago, I've got multiple carving hatchets here to hang, and these all need wire brushed up, but they are all forged and heat treated. They still need the edge ground on them. But the next step of the process is to hang them, that's the terminology, on a haft, which is the handle, and this is what it looks like. Now this handle comes out of just a hickory plank. I cut them out, and it needs shaped, it needs rounded. But at this point in the game, the next step on this one will be to grind the bevel, grind the edge on the axe bit. And the reason I do it in this sequence is because this setup right here affords a really good control of the axe head while I'm grinding it, and allows me to put some extra pressure on it. It's just more efficient, more control. If you're just trying to hold the axe head by itself, it's a lot more difficult. There's not a lot to hold on to, and you're trying to figure out how to, kind of hold the axe eye. This is a lot better. Hey, Jesus, how's it going? And so, anyway, so this process here, this is what the handles look like right after I cut them out. And it's just a nice piece of hickory, nice grain on it. This one has a little bit of, it's about a third of heartwood on this one. Most of them are the softwood. But anyway, so this has to be whittled down. But I'm going to use a draw knife. Now, typically what I do, for efficiency's sake primarily, is I use my belt grinder and a 36 grit super coarse sanding belt and get them ground down in short order. And that's how I typically do this. But today, I'm going to be using a draw knife. We're going to go real traditional here. And see if I can pull the camera just a little bit more without losing my Wi-Fi, hopefully. Right on, Ridge Runner. I'm glad. I'm really excited to be. So to sidetrack, some of y'all in the chat know, or some of y'all watching know that we've got knives on ridgerunnerblades.com now. And that's a knife store that's been around a while. He curates a variety of high quality knives of varying style and price scale. So good business, and Jason's a good dude. So it's exciting to be able to work with them. And yeah, so I was going to talk more about that in the stream here today, and kind of what that means for Fire Creek Forge and everything like that. But just to finish explaining what I'm doing with the hatchets. So I'm going to be using a draw knife. Now this isn't something I've done a lot of. I did this one the other day, and I think I've maybe done a couple others. But like I said, typically I've used my belt grinder and just done that process. Now this is fitting pretty good. It's a skill that I want to develop a little bit more. Now, there's several things I like about it. And see ya, Jesus. Brian, appreciate it. You can see it's fitting pretty well. This is not exactly the final fit. It's very close, but once I finish the hatchet head here, I will, obviously shape the handle and everything, and then we'll cut a kerf in there that the wedge goes into and expands the top part of the axe handle and holds it all together very tightly, very nicely. That's how they've been doing it for hundreds and hundreds of years. Works really well if done properly. And all that to say, once I cut that kerf in there, do a little bit of sanding and stuff like that. Well, quite a bit of grinding and sanding on the handle itself, but a little bit of sanding up here. This is going to fit down even a little bit tighter. And then we'll wedge it up and it will be good to go. So, all that to say, this is not quite the final fit up, but it's close. What I'm really looking for here, as you can see, is the bit lining up with the axis of the handle. That's really important. And then there's a little bit of wiggle room when it comes to this direction because I still have to shape the contours of the handle, but I'm looking to be really close. My hand's not straight, but the bit is nice and straight off of the axis of the handle. So those are the things that I'm looking for as I'm hanging this small axe. It's my carving hatchet. Guys use it for all kinds of stuff though. I mean, it's kind of designed like a carving hatchet, but it's forged and ground for a multi-purpose blade. So Ridge Runner, this is one of like 9, I think, or do I have 8 left? Yeah, I've got 8 of these. And I got this guy. It's kind of a different, obviously a different axe head style. So I've got 8 of these guys. I'll probably have 7 available once I get them all done. And yeah, Samdall and Sons, how's it going? Yeah, so like I said, it's a multi-purpose axe head, and I always like to explain this because an axe is for cutting, right? Primarily. Now you can build a splitting axe, and that's a different animal. However, this also works great for splitting your kindling and stuff too, because with this oversized eye, it's got a nice pronounced wedge here. So while the bit is forged and will be ground with a nice bevel, obviously you got to have that nice convex bevel. It chops very well. takes material off, cuts through limbs, all the stuff an axe is supposed to do. But then when you want to go split your campfire kindling and stuff, this wedge here does that nicely for you. So it's a very all-purpose hand axe, or small axe is what a hatchet is. All right, so Ridge Runner wants a couple of these, and this one. Right on. So yeah, and this one has been probably, well, they don't move as fast as the knives, but I also haven't been selling them quite as long as the knives, and they all do pretty well. But this one has probably been the top seller out of the range of models that I do. Anyway, I better start hanging some of these instead of yakking. But I wanted to, anyway, so the draw knife. This is, now, I wish I had a spoke shave, and I need to get one. For you guys who are woodworkers, you know what that is. Spoke shave is a little deal that takes off thin shaves of wood, and that would be really nice in this case to get down to the last little bit. I don't have that, so I'm just working with this draw knife. Now, this draw knife was my great-granddad's, one of my great-granddad's draw knife. And it's a A.J. Wilkinson and Company, Boston, Massachusetts. So it's I'm assuming a little bit older. It's got a folding in handles that fold in on the blade for transport or storage or whatever, and it kind of acts as a blade guard too, so that's kind of nifty. Anyway, that's what I'm using today. So so these heads, like I said, they need wire brushed and everything up. They're still all in the raw, but they'll look really nice once they're all wire brushed up and everything. Hey, little River Forge, how's it going? So this eye, I don't think I mentioned it before, but an axe eye is kind of an hourglass shape. Ever so slightly, perhaps, but it's an hourglass shape. And so the axe handle going in at the bottom is going to be slightly tapered, because this is slightly tapered in the bottom. And then when we wedge it, it's going to be slightly tapered at the top. So it's going to kind of go in like this and swell back out. And that's what holds your axe securely to the handle. Slingshot Life, I don't think I've seen Burning Sky. I don't know who that is, but this is the drift, the finished size drift that I use for these. Well, actually, most of my current, except for the big axes, this is the drift. And so the final, during the forging process, the final sizing and straightening is done with this drift. And you see that it fits in both ends, and that's the shape of the eye. And this drift is tapered thickness wise and a little bit on the width wise, so that's what the eyes are like. Slingshot, yes, I forged this. I made this drift, yeah. This one's a 4140 steel, which is not super the best for drifts. It's not bad. My main drift that I use is an H13, and it's for use under the press, but H13 makes a better drift. All right, without further yakking and ado, now I will say, well, I wish I could bring you guys in closer, but my Wi-Fi is simply not gonna allow it. I'll give you some close-ups here. Now, I'm not an expert woodworker, and if anybody is an expert woodworker, they'll know what I'm talking about, or even if you're not an expert. If you're an expert, you'll know how to fix this problem, I guess. But wood likes to be worked, the grain of wood likes to be worked in a certain direction, and depending on the way the grain lays, or whatever you call it, it will either, you know, you can cut it off in a nice consecutive amount or thickness, or it's going to try to dig in and crack out, chip out, whatever the terminology would be, and create a big old dent and divot in your piece. And if I knew how to really detect that beforehand, I could maybe cut my axe handles oriented a specific direction on the plank, on the piece of wood, and the knifing on the draw knifing here might be a little easier. But as it is, I'm kind of dealing with some chip out here on the grain here. You see that? That's not, I didn't cut that. That is chipping out as I'm taking the chip off. And that's not what I want. You know, I don't want the material to come off unless I'm specifically cutting it off with the draw knife. But to avoid that, what I'm doing is just taking a lot smaller shavings. And that seems to be doing the trick to minimize, not eliminate, minimize that. I would like to be able to hog off large quantities of this and get it down to real close to where it should be quicker, but I don't want to chip out a big old piece and ruin the whole thing. So that's why I'm kind of going slower. That and the fact that I haven't done this a whole lot. Now, with the draw knife, I've hung a whole bunch of these on this eye size. So I'm pretty familiar with what the eye shape and size is going to be. And so that definitely is helpful. You know, drop this workpiece down a little bit. That's definitely helpful because once you get really used to what you're trying to accomplish here, you can kind of get pretty close before you start doing a lot of checking, and ideally you would get it super close and then maybe have to check it a couple of times, and I'm not quite there yet, but I am able to do quite a bit before I have to start checking it, because like I said, I have not used the draw knife to hang my hatchets and axes hardly at all. Well, almost never so far. And so I'm not an expert with the draw knife by any stretch. Little River Forge, I'm drinking French roast from Costco. I like to buy the whole bean, grind it, and it's pretty good. Probably need to cut back a little bit though. How we doing? Is the chat still working? I haven't had really good luck on my live streams in the shop here. If I'm not forging, I'm working further into the shop and further away from my Wi-Fi, and it doesn't seem to work super great. Fling shot, yes, okay, we're still good. Anyway, so that's kind of a problem, is it's not been, the Wi-Fi is finicky. So one thing I do like about the draw knife is it doesn't make all the nasty dust that the grinder is. You know, that is one thing we kind of lost with high volume industrial style production, you know? Not that I do high volume industrial style production, but just using a grinder to remove material is very different than cutting it with a blade, which is what I'm doing here. But I you know, unless I got really good at it, which maybe I will, I don't think I'd be doing this all the time. I just wanted to use the draw knife on this little batch here, just to try to get a little better at the technique and learn it a little bit. But you know, when you got to get product built and everything, then you have to be efficient. And I'm giving myself a, I don't know, I'm giving myself a bit of a pass on this and allowing myself to kind of enjoy this little bit of the process in this, using this technique, even though it's not really efficient for me, because I'm not super skilled at this technique. Part of it is I thought, well, for one thing, I couldn't be doing a live stream if I was on the grinder. You know, you got all the dust control running and PPE, and so obviously that would be out the window. But it's just kind of something I wanted to put in my tool bag of experience that I haven't really taken the time or opportunity to do prior to this. I think when I go near the phone, I think it creates an electrical disturbance in my Wi-Fi cuts out. I think that's what's happening. Either that or some drones are flying over, who knows. So what I'm looking for is I'm looking for this axe head to start fitting on about, I don't know, maybe an inch, but I'm looking at just through here where it's where it's hitting still, and trying to remove material in those areas and get it so it starts to fit down onto the handle, which it is doing a little bit now. It's there's going to be different high spots that are kind of hidden, and I'll really be able to see those once I start kind of tapping this onto the axe head or into or whatever. But I can already start looking at kind of how it's lining up. It should already be lining up, you know what I mean? So I could stand to kind of turn it this way a little bit as far as this goes, but as far as the up and down, it's looking really good. So gonna do that. And again, I'm being careful. I don't want to accidentally chip out a big chunk with the wood grain. So I'm kind of trying to just shave off minor amounts. Like I said earlier, if I was doing it this way all the time, I would get a spokes shave. Excuse me, like a flat blade, not a rounded one. And that would be great for taking off minimal quantities of material as I'm getting real closer to what I'm trying to do here. So the angle that you hold the draw knife at is important, because if you drop the handle, it's going to bite in more. If you raise the handles, it's going to shave off less. The next thing I'm going to do is look at the end here. You see how it's just, I cut it out with the bandsaw, and it's got some sort of sharp corners. I'm going to use the draw knife to round those off a little bit, break those corners for the purpose of protecting them from cracking off, because we're going to hammer on this a little bit to fit the axe head. Ryan, how's it going? Thanks, Ryan. Okay, so this will be safer for tapping on with the hammer, with less danger of cracking off the corners here. So I'm ready to start setting it a little bit. So I'm going to just fit it on there. See if you guys can see that. There we go. I don't want to beat on this too much. It should not take a lot of force to fit the head to the handle here. And if you get too carried away, you can crack the handle, and it's just not good. So if it takes much more force than that, then you need to remove some more material. So I'm looking at how it's lining up, and it's looking really, really good. So obviously down here at the bottom of the lugs, it's not, there's still some gaps there because that has to come down to the wider part of the handle. Anyway, so I've got it in there just a little bit, and it's kind of stuck. So it has to come back out so we can look at where it's hitting and remove that material primarily. So I'm just going to use my drift to knock it back out. And then you can see where it's really hitting, and those are the areas primarily that need the material removed. So front to back mostly is what needs addressed. So I've got I've got a lot of stuff to build, which is a good problem to have, but I'm trying to mentally categorize priorities and, you know, what do I need to do next, that kind of thing. And so I figured, hey, I need to get these hatchets done, and I want to work on the draw knife a little bit, and so why not do a live stream? That's a great combination, right? Because I can actually do a live stream while doing this. If you guys have any questions about what I'm doing here or anything else on the subject, just throw it down there in the chat. So it's gonna be in a little bit further. Still, you know, obviously need to remove some material, but just check into where it's lining up. Still mostly front to back is where it's hitting. So obviously we try to leave the sides alone. We don't want to get those too narrow, so we just focus on where it's hitting. As we continue to drive that handle into the eye, you know, something I didn't think about actually is I might be able to use, actually I thought of this earlier and I forgot. I have a vise right here. It's set up higher for different kinds of work, and so I wasn't planning on using it for this draw knifing work. But let's give it a shot, because it'll put the camera closer to the Wi-Fi. DH, yes, I'm the knife guy. That's what I do. I'm the knife guy. Can I do that? Can I do a Batman impression? Is that allowed? Batman impression. Oh, magnet. That's a strong magnet. Easy there. Yeah, DH, good to see you on here. Benjamin. So that's part of what I have a lot to do. To finish my sentence on that is I have a list of custom orders, and then I'm trying to keep product in the shop, and now we're partnering with Ridge Runner blades. So it's all good stuff, and I'm constantly juggling all of these things. One thing I haven't really been juggling lately, as you guys obviously probably have noticed, is content creation. I haven't made a long form video project video in a while, which I'm kind of missing, frankly, because I have some fun ideas and stuff, but literally I've been busy just making knives and trying to get orders done and then product built. So that's what I've been doing. So yeah, if you have a custom order on file on the list, fear not, I have not forgotten. It is forthcoming. It's just me in here, so just me. Anyway, Batman impression. So I think probably my favorite Batman is the Christian Bale one from like, I don't know, 10, 15 years ago. And where he's like, where were the other drugs going? So we could be like, where were the other knives going? I don't know, maybe not. Just seemed funny to me because Ridge Rudder mentioned he just shipped out a bunch of knives. So anyways, all right, we got some questions and things. Lucky D Coyote. No, I still didn't get the induction forge going. I've been busy. Brian Dry. So what I'm using currently is 1060 carbon steel. Now and partly because it's got a little more carbon content than a lot of axes out there, and there's nothing wrong with them. There's different good things about, but like your Grand First Brooks, for example, I believe they're supposed to be like a 1050 or maybe a 1055 steel. That's totally fine. Some ways, I have 1045. I use the 1045 for hammers mostly. And then you've got like the 4140, and that's great because of the chromium content and stuff. Helps keep the grain size small and stuff. But I'm using the 1060. It's got a little more carbon content to it. Helps with the, the hardenability a little bit, and then the edge retention. So it's got some good qualities to it. And then the way I heat treat them, it still has I do multiple heat treat processes to make sure they have a real quality heat treat on them. And yeah, thanks DH. Yeah, y'all that bought knives last night, it was pretty sweet. Yeah, Ridge Runner, I was talking about a Batman impression, in the old Batman with Christian Bale. It was like, where were the other drugs going? I was thinking maybe we could be like, where were the other knives going? That's all. Okay, I'll stop. I won't do that anymore. Anyway. All right, so we're getting a little closer. I don't know about this vise. It's a little high for this, but we'll keep trying to see if it works okay. I don't know. I think I need to drive it on a little bit here, see what happens. Now, I will say one of the funky things about having a piece of wood that's got heartwood in it like this, and guys typically like that. They like the look and everything. And one of the funky things about it is that the heartwood is harder than the sapwood or the softwood on the same tree. And so as I'm doing this, the heartwood right here is not going to compress or give as much as the softwood, which is what's on this side. And there's quite a bit of, it's hard to see in the camera, but this much of it is heartwood. And what I'm saying is I'm gonna have to remove a little bit more on this side, because as I drive this on, the heartwood is gonna resist that pressure. It's not going to conform or deform to the axe eye as much as the softwood. And so To compensate for that, I have to remove a little bit more of the heartwood. In order for that axe head to go on there straight. Now you can start to see where we're starting to hit on the sides. It's kind of dark in here. Of the handle, not just the front and back. So that has to be addressed, which we will do now. I'm trying to do this in a fashion that's not too faceted, you know, because I want it to follow the curve of the eye instead of just have a bunch of little high points that are hitting. That would be not as ideal. But yeah, back to the steel that I'm using for the axes. It's 1060, like I said, and it's actually steel that is milled in Texas, down in Seguin. I'll probably say it wrong, but Seguin, Texas, which is kind of down in the it's like outside of Houston, probably a couple hours, but down here in Texas. It's actually made here. So that part's kind of cool. And I can actually get it, and it's reliable, so all that's important. Hey Benjamin, how's it going? Ransom, you bet. I enjoy it. Yeah, can't talk, but I enjoy what I do. My hope, and I'm not making any promises, but I wanted to do sort of a Christmas special, or just a video, project video, before the end of the year here, or before Christmas. Since I haven't made a video in so long, I figured we could call it a Christmas special. Like I said, not making any promises, but I'd kind of like to do that. Okay, so looking pretty good, but I have to readjust the direction this bit is pointing. It's kind of going off this direction a little bit. It needs to be more straight. And you can't probably tell, but it's fairly subtle, but it means I need to remove some more material from the front of the eye up here. But we're getting close. Sometimes I'll use a pencil to mark that. Sometimes I remember. I think I'll remember today. These are a 16-inch, approximately 16-inch handle on these, which is a nice size, and the finished axe head weight is about 1.5 pounds, which is a nice. I think it's a pretty good combination. Like, you can go with a lighter. You could go with a lighter axe head even in this handle length, but I try to kind of pair it to where it's kind of the maximum efficiency for the setup. You don't want to have an overly light axe head for the size of handle, but you also don't want to have a giant axe head on a little short handle. So, you know, it kind of depends, and there's a lot of other factors that go into it, like how the bit is forged and ground, for example. And so if it's made for cutting, then it'll address your material more aggressively, and so you don't necessarily have the need for as much weight behind it. And so there's a number of things that go into the whole process. But that's one thing. Like the Gransfors Brooks, for example, they're nice. I guess you could call them semi-production. Well, they're production. They use old equipment to forge them, but they're not hand forged because they are the machines that they use to forge them have specific dies to make specific shapes without the direct manipulation of the blacksmith. So I wouldn't consider them hand forged per se, but anyway, they tend to have be on the lighter side when it comes to the axe head, which, you know, they work fine. All right, I think it's time to smack it with the big hammer. So I'm going to come over here to the swage block. If you guys can see that, probably can't see that. Let me try harder here. Without breaking the axe handle, okay. Now typically, like I said earlier, typically I use my belt grinder for this process, and I would have had this finished by now. But there's a couple reasons why I'm doing it this way on this little batch here. And so that's okay. All right, so I need to get real specific on the material removal here on this next time. So it's getting fitted down on there, but I want to have about this much of the handle sticking above on the semi-final fit up here. So we're not quite there yet. But you can see where we're really starting to, the eye of the axe is really starting to contact the surface of the handle a lot more. And so we want to carefully shave some of that off so that it can contact as much surface area as possible. I think now that we're using this other vise, I can get you guys in a little closer here. You can see what's going on. It still feels dark in here. Benjamin, I use almost exclusively hickory. I've used ash on a few occasions. when I couldn't get hickory when I needed it, and it's all right. It works fine too, but my preference is hickory. Hope I didn't remove too much right there. Got a little carried away. We're getting down to the point where it needs to start matching pretty close, because if you're not careful, you could go too far and carve out a void that you can't really fix, because you're running out of room to keep pushing that axe head further up the haft. And again, if I had a spokes shave at this point, I think I would be using it, but I don't. Maybe I need to get one of those today. Little Christmas present for the business, eh? I don't know if I get kind of comfortable or confident on this process. Like I said, I haven't taken the time to really dial in this skill, just for, you know, efficiency's sake, getting work done and product made. But I'm allowing myself a little bit of I don't know, time to do that in this case. Okay, so we're looking fairly good, except for I need to take some material off this side now, a little more specifically because my bit is not quite lined up, and so I need to tip things back over a little bit. Excuse me. I have no pencils. No pencils, that's not good. Well, that's too bad. Fresh out of pencils, apparently. Pen no worky. Oh wait, right here. Little pencil right there. What am I doing? Can't even find my own stuff. Hey Mike, how goes things? Doing all right. Not doing too bad. Excuse me. Mostly got over the flu last several weeks. That was not as fun. Got a lot of product made, and now I'm working on some carving style hatchets. But yeah, we're not quite ready for Christmas. You know, you always put that off to the last minute, right? Benjamin, so this is, like I said, it's a carving style hatchet, and that has to do with the shape of the axe head, and it works for all kinds of stuff, but this style particularly, if you're working down a big chunk of wood for a carving project on a bench, this wide blade and this curve to it kind of provides sort of a scything action that you can really utilize, and that's the the purpose of the design. And then on top of that, this nice cutout, what's the word for it? I don't know. You can get your hand up right up to the axe head. You can use it real close up if you want to. And that's the purpose of the design here. And then the pole's nice and rounded, so when you're choking up on it, it's not digging into your web of your hand. Now, there's different bit styles on carving hatchets. This is a multi-purpose carving style hatchet, and so it has a chopping bit, so for taking material off and chopping limbs and stuff. So it's got the bit geometry and profile for that. And it's not ground yet, it doesn't have an edge yet on it, but it'll have a nice convex edge that helps pop that chip out when you're chopping, not get stuck in the material. And then if you do want to split stuff, it's got this nice wedge down here at the oversized eye. That really works well for splitting your campfire kindling and that kind of stuff. So really, I sell, like I said earlier, I think this has been sort of the one that I sell the most of out of my lineup of hatchets and small axe. And the guys use it for all kinds of stuff. It's just a fun, useful, versatile axe style. So, yeah. Man, all right, here we go. So I need to give some attention here to the to this side, so we keep the axe head going on straight. I need to go find myself a Kleenex here. So yeah, it's just kind of a process of elimination. You're just eliminating the material where it doesn't fit. And I wonder if I could use this little lamp right here. Excuse me. Get a little better lighting up in here. Put this lamp up here on the elk horns, maybe elk antlers. Yeah, that's probably not a good idea. Bear with me. I'll show you all my my little background I have going on here. Goodness. It's a work in progress, let's just put it that way. This whole setup. Always. Yeah, Mike, I don't know what, like I was telling people, it was almost as bad as a man cold. So pretty bad. You know. This is my little, so I've got my elk antlers here. A little bit of a festive lighting here. Nice little, where'd it go? Nice little trees candle thing there. Got these brass bells, pretty nifty. My neighbor gave me those. Maybe we can get that in the shot just a tad here. Yeah, look at that. Crosscut saw. Pretty sweet. I dig it. Man, yeah, I haven't had that yet. Hopefully. KGN Reaper. Glad you're enjoying the canister Damascus. Yeah, those are. Done a few of those on here. Oh yeah, that is what I like to see. So I'm gonna want to drive this down a little bit more and get a little bit better contact on portions of the lugs here. But it's looking pretty good. Might take it over to the swage block again here and give it a couple of whacks with the 5.5 pound. Now, honestly, ideally, we'd be using a arbor press or something to seat these axe heads on here. That non-concussive pressure is a better way to do it. But one of these days I'll get one of those and we'll continue to improve the process and efficiency and all that stuff. But in the meantime, this is how we got to do it. So, and if you're doing it at home, obviously this is how you're going to be doing it, because most people probably aren't going to get a arbor press to hang 1 or 2, 10 axes a year even. So this is how most people are gonna do it, obviously. That's how I've been doing it so far. There we go. A little more schmackety whack. So you can see what I'm saying there. I've got, 3/4 of an inch sticking up, and of course that'll be trimmed down to a cleaner dimension and everything, but that's where we want it. But I think I have to come back and take a little more off of this side once again and tip it just a hair back over. So I think that's where we're at, but real close. Plumax, yeah, old brands there. Mike asking about a resin handle. yeah, I mean, that's something I might try. Actually, I have a project I need to do that's got something like that. For me, nowadays, it's really more of a question of, do I have time? Not so much of, there's a lot of things I would try, I just don't have the time to do most of them, you know. If I can do it, the video I want to do before Christmas would be a particular, well, it's a wrought iron and high carbon steel sand my blade, and I've done something similar in the past, but it'd be a different project, different design, of course. But I got some old wrought iron. It's all old, but I got some wrought iron from a guy from a company that sells it. I think Excalibur Metal Works or something like that. And they have wrought iron rods and then big square nuts, like 2 inches type size. Big, so you can cut off a nice little slab of wrought iron for a project. And I've been wanting to do that. So I don't know, try to maybe do that. I don't know, we'll see. It's looking pretty good. So it's still kind of hitting the front and the back a little more than some of the other areas, but I'm not going to mess with that any further because I'll be coming in and cutting that kerf right down the center, you know, where the wedge goes, and so some of that material is going to be gone, at least from here up. And so that's not going to be a factor. It's not going to be there. And so that's going to allow the axe head to come down just a little bit more and contact the sides a little more than it is currently than so much of the front and back. And so I'm going to leave that one alone, and I'm going to call this one good. And like I mentioned earlier in the stream here, that these are all going to get wire brushed up and cleaned up, and they're going to have that nice forged finish, but be clean looking instead of all the scale and stuff on there that there is right now. And of course they have to be ground, and so that's the next step. And the reason I do it this way is a couple reasons. Well, the main reason is because now I can go and grind this while it's hung on the handle, and that allows me to, so I've lined up the bit with the axis of the handle in relation to the eye. So everything's lined up and straight, okay, like it needs to be. So now when I go grind the bevel, I can make sure that that bevel is following that axis as well. And so everything is lined up where it should be. And I don't have to worry about, you know, where that bevel falls in relation to the eye and how it hangs on the haft and all of that. And then I also have a lot better control over the axe head with it being on this handle like it is right now. And then of course, last but not least, doing what we just did, taking this on and off and everything, when it has an edge on it, I've done it. If you can avoid it, which, you know, a lot of times you can't if you're refinishing an axe, but I can because I don't have to grind it yet, and I prefer not to. I prefer to leave the edge off until this part of the process is done, and then I don't risk cutting myself nearly as much, and I don't have to like tape it up and everything like that, which is annoying because I want to be able to see where everything's sitting. And so for those reasons, I do not grind it until it's been fitted to the handle. And so now we can grind this, and you know, once that's ground, I'll take it back off. I'll shape the handle, get that all shaped up for nice ergonomics and grip and everything like that. And then we'll cut the kerf. And then after this has been ground and not polished, but cleaned up with the wire brush and everything like that, we'll put it back on, excuse me, wedge it up, and it'll be good to go. You're ready to use. So that one's, excuse me, that one's done. We'll put that right here. And we'll move on to the next one. Unless y'all are bored. Unless y'all are bored of this. Oh, we are already at an hour and about hour and a quarter. Look at that. Time flies when you're having fun, eh? See, now this is really bad. This is what I'm talking about. I'm taking a little bit of a chip off, but it's splitting out a lot more material than what I'm trying to take. So I gotta be careful with that so I don't ruin. Yeah, see, that's gonna be, this one's much worse than the last one. Because I want to be like cutting in this direction. That's the way it wants to go, but I can't really do that. So ideally this axe handle would be the opposite direction in the plank. Excuse me, but I don't know how to detect that beforehand. I'm sure there's a way to do it. I get really goofy with this, but that's just silly. How are we doing in the chat? Did we lose the chat? Is it still? Excuse me, I'm trying to cover my mic and I'm trying to cover my mouth at the same time. That's not very effective. I'm gonna give it a shot just like this right here. Because like I said, this wood grain does not want to go that direction. It's trying to split out on me real bad. And this is not the ideal way to do it. Like I said earlier, I'm still learning. I am not practiced very much at all on the draw knife. That's probably not gonna work. Probably not gonna work, guys. Now a spoke shave, going back to the old spoke shaves, you know I'm gonna go sit down, excuse me. Goodness, mostly over the flu. Anyway, you know I'm gonna go sit down and find a dadgum spoke shave when we're done here, after I've mentioned it like 14 times now. But anyway, spoke shave, I believe, has like a depth, kind of like a plane. Well, maybe I could use a plane a little bit, I don't know. Anyway, spoke shave has a depth control on it. I don't know what you call it, but you know, you set it to a certain, I believe they do. You set it to a certain limit and it will only take off that much stock, even if the wood's trying to split out. So like a plane is the same way. Here's a little tiny block plane, which was also my granddad's. He liked to paint his tools for identification, make sure nobody took them, I guess, and put his initials on it and stuff. But he did some woodwork, I guess, and my granddad gave these to me. Got them. So this draw knife, this plane, I got others as well. But this is the smallest wood plane that I have. I don't know if I can use it for this or not. I can try and see if it helps with the wood grain issue. Yeah, maybe. But it's gonna kind of be hard to get that radius in there. Maybe a little more depth on this. I don't know. I also don't know what I'm doing with a wood plane, so basically I'm an amateur in all respects here with this particular. Pretty sure that's not supposed to happen. Well, like I said, amateur. Dang it. Well, all right. Now we need to put this back together. All right, chat's still working. Thanks, Mike. All right, Benjamin, good deal. Yeah, just checking because like I said, I haven't had the greatest of luck on my live streams the last several times with the chat coming in and out and all that good stuff. So thanks. Alex Jones with our daily or weekly whale fact here. Sperm whale vomit, aka ambergris, is extremely valuable and commonly used in high-end perfumes. What a delightful fact. Probably similar to how they use skunk, whatever it is, in perfume making. And I believe the reason they do that is because whatever kind of compound or something the skunk stuff has in it, it's used for I don't know, like bonding the scent to whatever you're trying to perfume, and so it has that quality, and so the smell excuse me, man, I don't know what's wrong with me. Anyway, the smell is not what you want, but the bonding agent that is intrinsic to the skunk odor is useful, I guess, in the perfuming process, perfume arts, I don't know. So maybe maybe the sperm whale vomit is of a similar type thing. Yeah, to be honest, I have not been feeling 100% still this week. I thought I was pretty much over it, and I just have been struggling to get back 100%. Now I can't stop coughing, which is, I'm sure, rather annoying. You smell like a whale. Yeah, that'd be a good perfume name. kind of like walk like an Egyptian, smell like a whale, you know? Only for the brave. You could add that. Well, it's a nice idea, but I don't think that's going to work. I mean, the whole purpose of a plane, as you're probably aware, is to flatten things. That's why it has this long, in relation to the actual edge of the blade. And this is a tiny one. Most of them are a lot longer. It keeps everything flat and true. And so it's just taking off the high spots. And so when it comes to curves, that's totally the opposite of the purpose of a plane. So I'm going to put this back because it's not what we need. And we'll continue. Hey, babe, how's it going? No kids running and screaming through here. Just my wife over there. Hey, babe.
No, we're doing a simple, nourishing, traditional dinner. I just wanted to let you know.
Awesome. Hey, could I impose on you for some coffee? I got this tickle in my throat that I can't stop coughing. And thanks, babe. Interesting animal fact. Dogs can't look up. Huh. I don't know. I guess I've never thought about or paid attention to that. Guys, I think I might save this one for the belt grinder, okay? Because I don't want to ruin this, you know what I mean? So, see, I tried to shave off a little bit there, and look at that. It chips all that out. That's what I'm talking about. No bueno. So let's set this one aside. It's still very early along in the process to where it'll fit any of the heads, like so any of the axe eyes. I don't have to worry about that. So let's grab another one and see if that works any better. Where's the, I guess I didn't grab an axe head yet. Hatchet head. Yeah, I mean, they're just cool looking anyway, you know? But this right here, this is the steel that I use for these. These came off of this piece of steel right here. 1 inch by 3 inch stock. Into this guy. Yeah, I will say, I mean, not that anybody cares, but it took me, I would say, well, at least several, but maybe even as much as, no, it's been more like 5 years. Yeah. 5 years of learning how to forge axes to where I'm happy with the way they are turning out, because I want something that's really good. And just in my kind of spare time in the shop, so to speak, you know, teaching myself how to forge axes, and took about 5 years, you know, 'cause I'm doing it all the time. But I've finally got to where I feel I'm really happy about the way they're turning out. I'm always working to learn the process better, to be more efficient, and, you know, even better consistency. This one's gonna be just as bad, guys. I will, I will see if this one may cooperate. All right, well, we'll just be careful. You know, I'm probably not going to end up doing all 8 of these or 9 of these with the draw knife, just, you know, to be honest. I don't really have the time to do that. But doing a couple here is fun. That whole wood grain thing, though, is an interesting problem. Interesting problem. Yes, it is. Got another one here with some heartwood in it. Guys like that. They like the look of it. I don't think it necessarily adds anything functionally, but it does look cool. Is that some ASMR? Are we doing ASMR videos? I don't know if you guys can hear the draw knife on the hickory or not. I'm assuming you can. So, all right, well, I was gonna do a specific video on this, but I'll talk about it here. I'll probably do a real short little video. If you don't already know, as I mentioned earlier in the I say we, but it's just me. But anyway, we're partnering with Ridge Runner Blades now. Ridge Runner Blades is now a dealer for Fire Creek Forge knives and, well, soon to be axes too, I guess, which is awesome. Because as a young fellow put it at one venue I was at, chop a tree, make a fire, which is totally a t-shirt and absolutely what you're supposed to do with an axe. But I digress. What was I saying? Yes. So we're partnering with Ridge Runner Blades now. My brother on Yukon on YouTube here actually set us up with the connection there, which is awesome. And I'd actually heard of Ridge Runner Blades sometime prior, actually through like Wrangler Star. He's worked with Jason and stuff a little bit, and on, you know, trying some knives out and whatever else. And so I heard of Ridge Runner Blades, and then I'd heard of them from Yukon too, and then so I knew about them, but for a while. Anyway, we were able to you know, have a good conversation, and Jason looked at my knives and stuff and decided it would be a good fit for Ridge Runner Blades. And so he's, just as of yesterday, we got him an order put together and got some stuff made and some knives built and sent out to North Carolina there. And he got them up on the website, and I think about half of them are already gone, if that's correct. I think that's correct, which is great. So the timing is kind of really good because You know, I've been doing this full time for over 7 years, and you know, a lot longer than that, not full time. But I feel like just in the last, or just this year, the course of this year, I've gotten to the point where, you know, I've kind of figured out some specific things with efficiency and processes and things like that. That, you know, I wasn't quite able to, things didn't quite click about that, you know, prior to this. And I kind of sat down and figured out the time that I've spent doing this trade, and just counting the full time, pretty much just the full time, and then the couple of years that I was selling stuff while working another job, you know, making knives on the side. I'm into this, and this is a conservative estimate. I'm into this trade at least 15,000 hours. And you know, they say that you need 10,000 hours to become an expert at something. Well, I'm kind of slow and addled in the brain, so I needed 15,000 hours, I guess, to kind of get to where things are really starting to gel in the respect of, you know, making this something that we can really grow into a business. You know what I'm saying? It's been a business, but it's just been me, and you know, still is just me. We'll see what the future holds, but you know, when you're just in your garage, and nothing wrong with garages, I'm basically in one right now, but if it's just a hobby, you know, it takes you a week to build a knife, and you do a great job on it, you have fun, all that kind of stuff. That's awesome, you know, and that's what I did beginning. But once you're trying to pay the bills with it, and then once you have people, you know, you're providing a consistent good and service to a group of people, your customer base, you know, then you have to start figuring out how to do this on a efficient and consistent basis, and that takes some time. And so so 15,000 hours, and so just kind of earlier this year is when several, I don't know how to explain it, but like things kind of really gelled, and all that to say, it was great timing to start working with Ridge Runner blades and start providing some you know, awesome knives for him to sell at his business. And again, for those of you who don't know, ridgerunnerblades.com, Jason over there, he curates a wide range of quality knives of various designs at various price points, and it's a knife store. So that's what he does, is sell knives, right? And from various different makers and companies. So the reason, well, there's several reasons, but several reasons that it's a great thing. There it goes again, trying to chip out on me. So like I said, you know, getting to where I'm confident about my production ability in higher quantities, higher consistent quantities, and that kind of thing after 15,000 hours of doing this. There's several reasons that the partnership, this partnership is great for both of us. Excuse me. Goodness. Let me catch up on the... Mike says, I've said this in one of your previous streams, but I found the whole field of blacksmithing fascinating and can spend ages watching Smith doing something as trivial as horseshoes that is really skilled. Excuse me. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, horseshoes are a skill all on their own for sure. DH, why is every time something cool with knives or whatever else happens, I get super swamped by everything? Yeah, that'll happen. He sells happiness and that's right. Hey, idea. I'm sure somebody out there sells Band-Aids with like a logo or something on them. I don't know. That might be kind of cool. You know, a Band-Aid with some kind of wording or logo or something on them. I don't know. Something to look into maybe. Run gun, is that hatch you're making with the Nesmuk I just bought? Well, it could. I will have, well, I guess it's going to be about 5 maybe now, 6 maybe. No, I guess it's going to be about 5 I'll have up on my website, and Ridge Runner just asked for a couple, so whenever I get the rest of these done, there'll be some available. So yes, the Hatchet. Yeah, like I mentioned on Ridge Runner's live stream last night, the old woodsman. So as you guys probably have noticed, my style of builds, what I like to make is heavily influenced by traditional designs, and you know, one of the two of the most commonly recognized or known examples would be the Kephart, popularized by Horace Kephart, and then the Nesmuk, popularized by George Washington Sears. Both of those guys were outdoorsmen and writers, and they both wrote books and articles, I believe, and were outdoorsmen. So, you know, they were, in many senses, the fathers, or no, I would say grandfathers of American bushcraft. You know, they didn't call it that back then. They were outdoorsmen, and woodcraft is what it was. Anyways, yeah, they had their belt knives, whatever specific design they tended to prefer. You had your belt knife, and that was for all kinds of stuff. But then for processing larger stuff, you'd have a hatchet. So, you know, you weren't trying to beat your knife through a stump or anything like that. That's a very recent phenomena in the bushcraft, in the outdoors world. Everybody had an axe or a hatchet, you know. And then for real fine stuff, you'd have a pocket knife. They would carry some kind of pocket knife, or jackknife as they would call them back then. Some kind of smaller folding knife, and that was your blade setup that would handle, you know, 90% of everything you needed to do in and out of camp. And then if you're going to be at like a base camp or something, you'd have a full-size axe, and even like a 1 or 2 man crosscut saw, you know, for processing big, you know, firewood and bigger stuff. So that's the story. But yeah, so the couple reasons that this and I'm going to do a video for people who don't see the live stream. I just want to kind of, I'm excited to announce it and then explain why I think it's great, or why it's great. So my goal is to sell more knives, right? Because that's what I do. That's the whole underlying purpose of what I'm doing here. Make awesome knives and sell as many as I can, and grow that, you know, get more knives in more people's hands to use. That's my passion. And so what's great about working with a dealer or a knife store is that, you know, they order quantities, and so I can make a batch of 10, 15, 20, or whatever it is, knives, and then sell them at wholesale cost to the dealer, you know, Ridge Runner, Blade, whoever else. And then and then I'm done. I don't have to worry about it, right? Now they get to sell them. They get to list them on the website, Because normally I'm doing all that, you know. Not only am I making everything, I'm going in, I'm taking pictures, I'm listing everything on my website, which that takes time. That could be a full-time job in and of itself. But I'm constantly juggling all of that stuff, you know, managing the website, listing product, and so all that stuff, and then shipping. Gosh, obviously Jason will know exactly what I'm talking about with all this stuff. So I spend, you know, a lot of times I'll spend half of my Monday packaging and shipping product that sold over the previous couple days, which is just part of the job. But, you know, I'm not out here making product when that's happening. And so it's a benefit. It's worth something to be able to make a batch of knives. You know, I still have to package those up, but then I just send them off and dust my hands off and walk away, get back to making product. And so that's nice. Having that as a portion of my sales is nice. I mean, it just started to be. It's a first, but I'm looking forward to that being a continual thing. And so then Jason or whoever, you know, whatever dealer or knife store, you know, they get to do their thing, which they enjoy doing, obviously. And so it's a great partnership. And so, and then on top of that, I've built a pretty decent clientele over the last almost decade. Yeah, it's been dang near a decade that I've been selling knives, and like I said, I've been full-time for over 7 years. But anyway, I built up a clientele, but the knife world is vast. And again, Jason will know what I'm talking about. There's so many people out there that would like to buy a knife that I'll probably never contact in my particular areas of venue. And for me, that has been, well, in the early days it was Etsy, and Etsy kind of took a dump on everybody and started selling all the Chinese made junk. And so I don't do Etsy hardly at all anymore. I still have a shop on there, but I sell like maybe one thing a year just because you have to keep an active listing. Anyway, in the early days it was Etsy, and then my own website, you know, and then I'm here on YouTube, which has been really helpful for kind of, I guess, advertising, you could say. And that's what I've done, you know. And then I just went to my first Blade Show West this year, which is a whole nother sector. But so the point I'm trying to make is that Jason and any other particular knife store or salesperson, you know, or whatever you want to call them, has their own market, their own clientele base. And there's going to be some overlap, you know, obviously, but they have their own clientele base that they have built up under their name and their particular style and flavor and what they're curating. And so they can bring, and so the point I'm trying to make is that it's new territory and new exposure for both of us, because there's, like I said, there's going to be some overlap, but probably not very much. So it's going to be mostly new eyes, new clients for me, and his clients probably mostly haven't seen my stuff before. And so it's a win-win, and that's how the whole thing works. But on top of all that, I'm not sales and connections and people skills are not my strong point. And I think that's something that tends to plague a lot of makers. And so, you know, I've gotten by, you know what I mean? But having somebody who that's what their skill set is definitely going to be an asset for me. And then, so anyway, so then Jason gets to make his living and doing what he does and selling knives, all different people's knives and stuff. And so I'm happy to be a part of that symbiotic relationship. And Jason's a good dude, so I'm happy to work with him like that. And so anyway, hopefully that all makes sense. And yeah, he ships 2 times a day. Yeah, that's your whole life, Jason. Packaging, shipping, listing. Yeah, it's a full-time job. So then, the last point I wanted to make is if you're watching the stream here and you've been a client of mine for a long time or whatever, and you might be wondering how this might change stuff, the answer really is not much at all. Because like I said, the part of the whole goal is to get new exposure and new new territory, whatever, you know what I'm trying to say. And so if you guys those of you who have been purchasing from me on my website, you can still do that, and there's still going to be product up there, product up on my website. That's not really going to change a whole lot. I'm still going to keep doing what I've been doing with that. The idea is to get more knives in more places to more people. And as far as the prices are going to be exactly the same. Whatever Jason's selling, whatever he decides is a good fit for his shop and his client base, and he orders from me, he'll be selling it at the same price that it is on my website. So it's the same price, except for you might get some better perks. You might get some cool stuff from time to time at Ridge Runner blades, like a free strop and things like that. So there could be some cool stuff with that you might want to check out, honestly, too. But not a whole lot's going to change. The pricing will be the same, just in case anybody ever had a question about that. The only thing that might be a little bit different is that depending, so if you've been around the website at all, you'll know that I am always trying to get the next, in this case, a batch of carving hatchets up. I've been out of stock of carving hatchets for a while, and I've been getting other stuff made in the meantime. And so I kind of go through this rotation. It's not necessarily always the same rotation or specific or consistent, but it's okay, well, I'm mostly all out of axes and hatchets. I need to make a few batches of those and get some of those, and then I'll come back and I'm completely out of drop point skinners or whatever I need to, so you're just going through this cycle and then working in custom orders, trying to get those done in a, somewhat timely fashion, if at all possible. So it's just that thing. So what might be different is if Jason says, hey, can I get, some of these and this and that, and I make a batch of whatever for him and send it off, and he's curated these specific models, or specific knives for his shop. He may have something, in fact, that's currently the case, actually, to be honest. He actually, he has stuff in stock right now that I do not have on my website. So I guess that proves my point. That is something that's going to be potentially, it currently is. He has stuff in stock on his shop right now that I don't have. For example, he's got Nesmucks. I don't have any Nesmucks. I've got a couple mini mucks, but he also has mini mucks in different handle materials that I don't have currently. And that would be the case, That's been the case on my website. Like, stuff's in and out of stock just as I can get to it and make it, and that's just my life. So my point is depending on what Jason decides is a good fit for his shop, he very well may, and in fact currently does, have stuff in stock that I don't currently have in stock. So that's a good thing, because if I don't have it, or if he doesn't have it, or vice versa, bottom line is you're going to have more options. At least that's kind of how I'm seeing it, and that's always a good thing. So that's the only thing that might be a little different. Other than that, the goal is to just, you know, keep making more knives and get them out to more people, and keep going. Run Gun is gonna go do shipping for Ridge Runner. Yeah, sell more knives, exactly. Well, there's a lot of, it's a huge market, you know. All right, see you, Mike. Appreciate you being here. Have a good night over there across the pond. So anyway, I'm gonna do a little video on that, I think, and just kind of let everybody else on the channel here kind of know, because I'm excited about it, and you know, in case anybody has any questions, that's the dealio. And yeah, there's other. I have been contacted by other knife stores in the recent past, and you know, nothing has come together on those yet, but we might have Fire Creek Forge knives and axes and stuff in other places in the near future too, depending on who, you know, and I'm open to that if there's other dealers or knife stores interested in that. But anyway, I probably could have said all that in like 5 minutes instead of 25. But if you don't understand the situation now, I don't feel very responsible for it. So I think I explained myself excessively. Unless you have a question that I didn't answer, then throw that out there. Just throw it out there. Einstein, good evening. I think I missed a... Maybe I didn't. Okay. Einstein V2. That's what that's supposed to say? I don't know, right? Is that how you say that? Well, can I make the axe or hatchet with the ironwood? Or is it not durable enough? I think probably your biggest problem with that would be getting a piece that was big enough without serious like burls and knots and twists and stuff. I think that would be the biggest challenge with trying to use ironwood for an axe handle. And then if you did have a piece that big, it would be a bit pricier for sure. But other than that, I don't see why you couldn't use it for that. It's not going to have the same kind of spring that hickory does. Hickory's like got a good I don't know the proper terminology for it. But it'll flex and bend to an extent, whereas ironwood is very dense and hard, so it's not gonna do that. Now, on a hatchet, it probably wouldn't matter too much. A small hatchet, it probably wouldn't be that big of an issue. Excuse me. I'm gonna see if I can give you guys a nice up and close. No. Okay. This could put you to sleep if you're not careful. Well, I think I'm ready to smack her with a hammer a little bit. Looking pretty good. Pretty good. Make some, excuse me, some minor little pencil marks here. Mm-hmm. Oh, hold on. Okay. right. Oops. Well, what do you guys think? This is kind of the process here. This is what I'll be doing for as long as I'm doing it this way. So any questions about the process or anything related or not specifically related? Why are there drones flying around in the sky? That's an easy one. You know, like that one guy said, we have nothing to fear but the United States government. Something like that. Pretty sure that's what it was. Did you actually ask that? I didn't even see that in the chat. We're on the same page. Well, all right, we got that answered. I think that's about as much of an answer as we need right there. So what I'm doing here, it's completely out of the frame. I'm just chamfering off the corners here so that when I go smack it with the hammer here as I'm finishing up the fitting process, it doesn't crack off a corner as easy or whatever. So DHES, these are all completely heat treated. They still need ground, nice chopping bevel up here, convex bevel, and then wire brushed up so that you got that nice clean forged finish on them. And they're completely heat treated. So these ones are bit quenched. So like this portion here is what's hardened specifically. This will be a little bit hard, but not like the bit. So we answered the drone question and the axe head question. Any other questions? Any other questions? Yeah, so hanging the axe. And like I mentioned earlier, if you heard, I don't know or not, but when I get this fitted down where it's supposed to be, there'll be about 3/4 inch sticking up. It's going to get trimmed off later, but once that happens, it'll be on this handle, which still needs shaped and sanded and everything, but I'll be able to grind the bit at that point. And doing it like that affords excellent control of the axe head, because you have a lot to hold on to, and you can actually put pressure on the grinding belt and keep things very controlled. So it works pretty well to do it that way. Einstein, yes. That's one of the last things we do, is we gotta cut a kerf in the, the top of the handle and install a wedge. Yep. Like I mentioned earlier, an axe eye is a subtle hourglass shape, so it's wider. It's about the same width. It doesn't have to be the same, but it's similar width here at the bottom as it is at the top, and it's narrower in between. So it kind of goes like this on each side, and obviously this handle is tapered here as it comes up into the eye, and then when we install the wedge, that'll swell that out, and the whole thing will be an hourglass-ish shape. So that's how it's secured and held in there. Getting close on this one. Need to take it back out here. Something that comes to mind is if any of you guys are interested in like Bible type stuff, or like teaching or Bible study, or really kind of how to, really for me what it is in a big way is, you know, how I approach the world and culture and everything like that through a biblical lens. But, you know, I know not everybody's open to that or interested necessarily, but if you are, or if you're curious or whatever about that, I have another channel, little tiny channel. It is it's just my name, Elijah Williams, and it's linked as one of the featured channels on the Fire Creek Forge YouTube page. And I don't have a lot of content up there, but I have some stuff, and I'm going to be putting more up there. I just put one up this morning, and so if you're interested in checking that out, feel free. You know, I sometimes I think about putting that content on here, and I actually have a little bit, you know, a couple of shorts and stuff, but it would kind of end up turning this channel into something completely different, which I don't necessarily want to do, but really what's behind it for me is part of what's behind it for me is that there's such a dearth of fathering in this culture, and it's just a wholesale inadequacy or lack. Now, not for everybody, but many of the problems that we have in our country come from the results of boys, kids in general, but particularly boys, growing up without either without a father figure, without their father, or and nobody had a perfect dad, you know, and that's not an expectation. And we could talk more about that, but anyway, point is that fathering is so crucial to, you know, us as individuals, and then by the same token, to our society at large. And so just how we understand and think and view and interact with our culture, it all comes down to what we believe about God and what we believe about ourselves and what we believe about other people. And a lot of that is shaped by the involvement or lack of involvement, you know, of our dads. Hey, babe.
I didn't forget about you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it.
My dad's watching.
Oh, nice.
Hi, Dad.
Thanks, babe.
You're welcome. It's probably not like
Not as strong as I usually make it.
for you.
Well, I probably need to cut back a little bit, so thanks. Thank you, Jesus. I appreciate that. Pause here. Matthew Hop. I have a hatchet I bought from a yard sale that has some wood chip out of the eye where it connects. I only use it for trimming off kindling, so low impact work. Would it be safe to use epoxy to fix? I'd have to see it to really say. But my recommendation, especially if you're looking for a project or something, I don't know if you are or not, but Matthew, you can buy axe handles that are already made and ready to do a little bit of shaping on the eye to fit to your particular axe head. It really is a great project, and it's a great skill to learn. And they're not super expensive, but it's, you know, it's something that, you know, if you have any interest at all, it's definitely a worthy project. So, you know, you might be really happy with getting a whole new axe handle and learning how to hang it, especially if it's a low impact tool. It doesn't have to be perfect, right? And so it's a good practice deal. But rather than trying to necessarily patch something up, that maybe just replace it and have a little nicer tool, if you have the time and inclination. And the epoxy, you know, it's not going to mess up the head. If you do put some epoxy in there, you can bust it out later. It might just break out anyway, because it's not going to actually be connected to the wood itself. So it'll probably stay in there for a little while. Maybe, I don't know, maybe it'll stay in there for a long time. It would be a momentary stopgap, or a short term is what I'm trying to say. Hey, low budget Bob, how's it going? Speaking of low budget Bob, Mr. Robert, you had asked about some meat slicing knives, and I was gonna try to email you, and I could not find your specific email. I forged a couple of the knives that I thought might be, and you were probably talking more of a brisket knife, and I haven't made one of those yet, but I do have a big, cool, slicey kitchen blade up on the website right now. It's a big, like, you'll see it. It's pretty distinctive, and I think it could, I don't know exactly what you're looking for, but it could work for what you're talking about for slicing up meat and stuff. But I just remembered that you'd asked about that on a previous stream here recently. And so if you look at that particular knife and it's not what you're looking for, I'll still try to get some brisket style knives going. And haven't forgot about that. This bit is fine, but it's not quite down far enough on there. No, I'm not on Signal. I'm not on Signal. I just really what I finally got a Facebook page for Fire Creek Forge recently. I didn't for a long time because I hate Facebook. But I have that, and then I'm on YouTube here, and that's about as much as I kind of want to deal with when it comes to that kind of stuff, if that makes sense. Anyway, yeah, I was talking about that other channel. Yeah, so the heart behind it is, and it's not because I figured stuff out. That's not the point. And if you go on there, you'll you'll understand that. My desire is to help other men, maybe particularly young men, if I can, when it comes to various issues. But I do believe that God's Word is the best source of knowledge when it comes to understanding how to navigate everything. And so that's kind of the point of that other channel. Like I said, it's just my name. It's linked on featured channels on my page, and then Jesus left a link up here just a little bit higher. And I plan to do more. Anyway, so it's just I just think there's such a need. You know, you look at, like I said, so many things that are going on in our nation, and there is a direct link to the lack of fathering, the lack of discipleship. You know, I think sometimes we engage with stuff that maybe we have felt a need for. And so anyway, That's what that's there for. So if you're interested, check it out. Bible stuff, worldview, you know, engaging with all the things. It's like I said, it's small yet, but I'm going to continue to put up there. Okie dokie. Efficiency is not the name of the game today, guys. That's okay. Sometimes you just gotta slow down a tad and smell the date or something. Slow down a smidge, why don't ya? Take a gander at them there daisies. I get a little nervous doing this because you can crack that whole thing off right there, and that's just no bueno. But like I said, without an arbor press where you can get consistent, significant force, downward pressure, sometimes you know you got to get it seated up in there and see where it's hitting. See where it needs some material removed. Excuse me. Pardonami. All right, low budget bottle. This bigger. I'm looking what I'm wanting. I want to know if there's more like a bread knife, I guess, about an inch or so tall, by 12. And, oh, okay, like a more like a fillet knife. Alrighty. Yeah, so more like a traditional brisket knife. I think most brisket knives are about an 1.5 inches wide-ish, and they're about 12 inches long. But we could make a narrower one. I don't know if we want to go too narrow because you get, well, if you're wanting a real flexible one, actually. Yeah, if you just shoot me an email with pictures, perfect. Yeah, because yeah, perfect. Alrighty then. Hey Micah, how's it going? How goes the battle? It's not looking too bad. So you kind of see right here, when it comes to fitting axe, you see that light right there? So we've got a little bit of gappage, and you can't really see it in the light, but it's pretty much a consistent clearance all the way around the eye, which is what you want. You wouldn't want like inconsistency like that. That means it's fitting consistently in there. And so when we go to, when we cut our kerf, we got to put the wedge in. It's going to spread it and evenly contact the inside of the eye, which is what we're looking for. Hey Pat, how's it going? Or I should say, Pat! Isn't that how you say it? With the exclamation. Yeah. Just enjoying the process today, all right? That's what we're doing. Doing a little bit of live streaming. Drinking a little bit of coffee. A little bit of French roast. I even brought a snack out. I've got these almonds and chocolate chips, but I haven't been eating them because I don't want to be chomping and smacking in your all's ear, so save those for later. All right, so we've got some, so you can see where it's rubbing, where it's really contacting the, that's where that material needs to come off. We're going to be careful because we still need to make sure this swells or flares, I should say, right here to contact that, the lugs once we seat it down on there. Low budget Bob. That's right. Yeah, I want it to be snug. I don't want it to slop around. But it shouldn't be insanely tight. And like I was explaining, specifically what you're seeing there is your axi. Your axes are a subtle hourglass shape. They're wider here and they're wider here, and then narrower in the middle. And so this is necessarily tapered, if ever so slightly, to clear the narrow center or middle of the axi. Okay, so that's going to be narrower than the top dimensions here and the bottom dimensions here. So this is flared here so it seats up into the wide portion, and then once we get it in there, then the wedge will flare it out for the wider portion at the top. So that's how that works. Got my eyeballs checked the other day. My glasses description hasn't changed in about 8 years. So that's nice. Got that other channel I was talking about there, linked for you by Jesus. Appreciate that. Yeah, you can check it, guys. You can check it out if you're interested. Like I said, it's just stuff that it's kind of on my heart, you know. Not to be cliche, but I mean, if you're on the channel here, you see, you know, I'm passionate about knives and knife making and forging and bladesmithing and all that stuff. Definitely passionate about it, or I wouldn't be doing it for a living. But the fact of the matter is that I am even more passionate about trying to learn who God is as my Father in heaven, from His Word, what He thinks about me, what He thinks about the world, you know, understanding the world around me based on what the Creator says about it and about His plan. So anyway, that's really kind of what that other channel is about. So there's that, and then more specifically, like I mentioned earlier, in the context of, like, I just see so many young and some old men, quite frankly, who are just struggling, and I've struggled. You know, we all struggle. Life is hard, right? Like, ain't nobody not gonna struggle, but God is a father, and you know, we have fathers here on earth. Some of us have had great dads. Some of us have had not so great dads. But really what it comes down to at the end of the day is that we either know our Heavenly Father or we don't. And just that basic kind of discipleship, or what's the word? Encouragement, if nothing else, encouragement, ideas about, like, really it all goes back to the Bible. Like, I'm not trying to, I don't know anything. I'm just some dumb trying to figure stuff out. And when I, you know, as I study this stuff and try to figure stuff out that I, you know, in my life, I just want to share whatever little morsels I may have found. So, anyway. The awesome thing is that we can all read it for ourselves. And we should, you know, but sometimes it's nice and helpful to have other ideas or perspectives, you know, especially you know, if you haven't had a lot of that, maybe, because a lot of people haven't, you know. There we go. Yeah. I think that'll do nicely. Starting to hit down here on the lugs pretty good. And we still have just a tad of slack to take up here. But again, once I cut out that kerf, the material on each end here, on each side, is going to be mostly, like, we're not going to have that, so it's not going to be hitting. And so it's going to be able to come down even just a little bit more and take up that little bit of room. But up here is looking real good. Overall, it's going to be super great. Super great. Yeah, low budget Bob. Yes, they're they're hourglass shape, and that's, yep. You know, not excessively so, but subtly, and that's how they lock in place. All right. Well, this one is I don't know. I might tap on this a couple times here at the swage block, just to see if I can get a little bit out of it. But I don't want to crack the handle, so need to be careful. No, that's going to kind of be it. I don't know. I might shave off just a little bit more off the back here before we call this one good. Maybe we can get it just a little bit closer. Thanks, DH. I'm still learning how to I'm still learning how to hang these with a draw knife. It's a skill that I haven't taken the time to develop much prior to this. There we go. Yeah, we take that off. Like I've mentioned earlier, typically I use my belt grinder to do this whole process, and just for time and efficiency's sake, it's much quicker for me. You know, maybe a skilled person could do it in the same amount of time with a draw knife, but I'm not a skilled draw knife person at this point, so it's just an opportunity to, I don't know, learn it a little bit, enjoy the process. I don't know. I'm gonna probably go with that. We'll seat it back in there one more time. it's looking pretty good. Got a little bit of gappage back here. It's, I think, more the way the lugs are shaped on this one. And they're hitting a little bit down low. I mean, overall it's pretty good. And again, it's gonna seat down even more once we get that kerf cut. I think it's pretty good. Like there's 0 gaps up there. I mean, definitely would work just fine, but I'm trying to get perfection here, okay? Any other questions? You never know what kind of rabbit trail I might end up on. I think probably after this this axe, we get this one satisfactory. I think we'll probably wrap it up here. Been going for over 2.5 hours here, so you know. Run gun, how's it going? How goes it? How goeth it? As they say. No, they probably don't say that. Oh, you know what? Yeah, I forgot about that. Sometimes I'll get a little bit of a burr on the inside of this, on the inside of the lugs of the eye. And so it'll kind of like clinch in, and that's what's hitting when it's not necessarily contacting all the way up. And I kind of have a little bit of that going on right here. I wish I had paid attention to that earlier. So I'm literally at the very end of the fitting process for this one, and now I'm gonna try to file that out a little bit, and it's gonna change how that fits. So hopefully I didn't screw that up. But what are you gonna do? Let's see here. Do you keep at least one piece product all your work and you regret selling something? I don't. I honestly don't have. It's really just been more as of late that I've kept or even carried. Well, I guess in the last year maybe. Something like that. I guess anyway. I've kept a few different of my knives and carried them, but mainly for like R&D purposes. And historically speaking, I typically haven't had hardly any of my own knives and stuff. I think I have like, I did keep a little hand axe this year. That was fun. And I've made a few knives that I've kept this year. But in the past, I just never felt like I had the leeway to do that because I was trying to pay the bills and everything like that. And so most of the time I haven't done that at all. All right, that's pretty darn good right there, if I do say so myself. And then it'll seat down even a little bit more once we get the kerf cut and all that. So it's going on the shelf here. Set that aside for the next process and start on. Well, I sure appreciate y'all hanging out with the live stream here, and hope it was at least somewhat entertaining. Hope you have a good week, and I make no promises, but I want to do a full-length project video before Christmas, but we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. But anyway, appreciate you guys being here. Appreciate you watching, the support. Appreciate y'all purchasing knives from wherever, you know, either here or Ridge Runner, all that good stuff. And I hope you have a good day. Hope you have a good week. So we'll see y'all in the next video. Take care.